Morning and welcome back to Home Renovation Experts. Steve here on this 5x3 garden room build. I've been away on holiday for a week, so excuse the lack of videos, but it was bloody lovely. If you want to go somewhere in Devon, go to a place called Beer. Been going there for about 32 odd years. So I went with my mum and dad when I was a kid, and now I'm taking my little one down there. Fantastic. But it means I've got to crack on again. So here we go. So I'm going to get all the gazebo stuff I've covered, put it over here, and bring a ton of wood in. Here we go. Right, so that's my site, set back up again, which is always nice. So there you go, chops all ready to go, base uncovered, ready to go. Many piles of the 2x4 C24 timber, ready to go. So, here's the thing, right? So when you're working out your wall heights, all right, this is quite an important bit. Double check, triple check, okay? Because you don't want to cook this part up. But basically, what it comes down to is basically finding the lowest point. So in my case, that part is the lowest point to the ground, okay? So that is where the permitted building regulation standard 2.5 meters will be measured from, okay? So you measure off of there, which is gonna be basically, I think it's about 180 mil I just measured. So 2,500 minus 180 is something on a calculator. Then you've got to sort of take into account what else we've got. So 150, so the joist timbers that are running for the roof are 150 mil. So subtract that as well. Then I've got 50 for like, the 18 mil ply on top, the rubber EDPM roofing, and of course the trim that goes on top, the stop, so to allow for all that. So basically once that's done, and then you've got to allow for the back, because you want to run on it. So basically, because I'm building the back walls first, I then subtracted 75 mil, which is basically 25 mil drop for every meter of water travel, which basically plumps me just above, literally just above 2 meters. So I'll build the back walls and side walls at 2 meters height, and that is it, done and dusted. So it's basically just working out like all those bits and pieces, what actually makes up the height of your build, and then just subtracting it off of the 2.5 meters, and then whatever you're left with is the back wall height. If you wanted the front wall height, you just simply wouldn't subtract the 75 mil that I did for the drop at the back, but I've got the 4x2 on site, so that's the wall I'm going to build, so I needed to take that into account. So what I'm going to do is, I showed you in a video previous with the last build, but I'm going to do it again. I've learned a new technique. Thank you, Americans. You guys know what you're doing when it comes to timber. It's called gang cutting. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set that up, and then I will show you exactly what it is and how fast it bloody is. And it's going to save you time measuring every single piece of timber, taking it over to the saw, cutting it, and then taking it over there to erect it. This is going to be much more speedy. So I'm going to get set up and I'll explain that to you in a minute. So the first part in gang cutting is basically setting yourself a very quick, simple template. In my case, like this. So basically I've created an L. Ignore this one, this one's just here because he wants to hang out. First, let me get rid of it. So there you go. So what I've done is screwed a piece of timber, just 2 screws, to my deck, across there like that. Then got my set square, put a screw in the corner, and then just level that end as necessary. So you end up with a perfect square like this. And then what you're going to do, excited for you, it's always nice to learn new stuff, is, here, I'll grab him, so he did have a reason because he's got me marking. There you go, he goes down there like that, booyah, he sits like that, okay? So my 2 meter back wall, now I'm not going to measure 2 meters on this bit of wood, it's going to be 190.5 because I'm dropping off a bit, because obviously I've got to take into account the base plate and the head plate, okay? So basically I'm cutting all the vertical studs in one foul swoop. So just making sure, you know, I'm not gonna go, oh, 2 meters, doing all 2 meters, could put them up and then put my head and base and I go, now it's too tall. So take that into account. So what I've done is, that plate at the top across there, when I kind of marked off, you can see there is my little mark. So what I've done is measure 2 meters, took off 9 centimeters, it takes me there. I now know that the cut is gonna be off of the deck, okay? So once I've got this in position, like I said, just screwed that top corner into it, so I know it's the right length, squared it up, screwed that in, job is good. So now what I'll do is, I'll just chuck in, I'll work out how many vertical studs I need across the back. I will chuck in that many into this void, and I'll cut them in one foul swoop. I know. Right, give us a sec, and I'll come back. Right. So there's a good whack of like timber, all lined up, pretty. What I also do is, and this is again very important, take a little mallet. So once you've kind of lined them all up, give it a little tap, each and every one and just double check, come at the top and make sure they're definitely in contact with the brace at the top, because you don't want to lie them all down, cut them and then realise you've got 5 mil gap at the other end. That'd make you sad, and I don't want you to be sad. The other excellent thing about doing this as well is that when you kind of line them all up like this, firstly it looks really cool, but also you can then tell which ones are bowed and twisted. So there's 3 over there that when I lined it up onto the previous one had a massive bow in it, or twisted like vertically, and so you can then chuck those ones to the side and use them for like noggins or whatever you're going to use them for. But I now know that all these ones are relatively straight, because when you're dealing with this amount of timber, there's always going to be a few twists and bits and pieces, but there's an amount you can live with. So what I'll do now is I will mark the, what was it, 1900 something on the far end, this end, and mark in the centre. Then I'll get my Festool, my rowel all set up, and then I will simply run through the lot. I'll do like a little time lapse of that because it's just fun to watch. It's fun to do as well. And I'll show you that in a second. Right, so the slightly more observant of you will notice something here. There is less wood. Yeah, for some reason, my video decided to stop recording me doing the cut. But I needed 6 more anyway, so it works out okay in the end. Right, so I've got to try and remember what I said now in the last one. So basically, like I said, not everyone is going to have the Festool and the rail. It doesn't matter, you can do it with a normal, everyday sofa saw. Perfect. All you'll need to do if you're going to do that, as opposed to having this is going to be my mark for like the Festool rail to run down the blade, you'll basically measure between there and where the blade sits. Set yourself a little depth and then maybe screw a bit of wood over here wherever it needs to be, so that when you put it up against it, so this thing butts up against that bit of wood, it'll just run straight down. Okay, I've got the Festool rail, I've got the Festool, so I'm just going to use it. I've set the depth to a maximum. What I also do is the one that's on the end, I actually secure that with a couple of screws just so it keeps everything pinned, because I just pinned it at that end, pin it this end, and there's going to be no movement at all. So as I run through, it doesn't even decide to bugger off and sort of wander somewhere. So I'll do these cuts, these ones, as long as my camera continues to film, and you'll see what it's like. And the other massive benefit is that these are 2.4 metre lengths, okay? These are well over 400, so I'm going to put them at 400 centres. These are now all noggins. Not firewood. So there you have it. So what I'll do now is swing it around this way. So you can see over there, there's a massive pile of wood. So that's the ones I cut that you didn't see earlier, so they're all there ready to rock and roll. I've got those 6 over there, so I'll chuck those over that way, unzip my Uber doobie, the little bracket, and that means I'm then basically ready to then start building some walls. Now that may seem like a bit of a setup, but trust me, to pick up one bit of wood, take measure it, mark it, take it there, chop it, bring it over here, put it down, this exceeds that in speed to no end. Plus they're all cut exactly the same. So that is a massive benefit as well. So what I'll do is give this like chop down and then start building some walls and show you how I do that, and show you another little technique I learned about California corners. And I don't just mean like driving in the States, which I have done, it's very good fun. I'll show you in a sec. Right, how do you build a wall? Base plate, top plate, okay? The easiest way to do this is I'll grab one of my offcuts from over there and I'm just going to put a mark. Oh, field mouse. It's like nature watch now as well. So all I'm doing is I'm putting a mark on here, on the end, which is basically running through the centre of that. So just put that there, grab that, mark it on the bottom one, job is a good one. Now, from those marks, what I'm going to do is, working from this way, because it is mobile, going from that mark I've just put on there, you're just marking every 400, right? So it's going to give you your centres to studs. So just run along and do that. quite sort of concentrating now. Trying to get up to 2 floors. Right, there we go. Right, there you go. That is them. Now, all marks. That's before the centres. Now, I'm just going to quickly grab. So you're a professional, we've had that already. You wouldn't get this kind of crap on like Robin Clevitt, you know what I mean? Now I'm just going to go through on those marks and mark up through both bits of wood. Just pin it together as I go. So just give it a little squeeze. Done. So what you've now got is that transferred through both bits of wood at the same level. Obviously before you start this, you make sure they're butted up and level with each other. Don't just put it down and kind of crackle. So they are now like that, which is beautiful. Give it a score. And that now means I know that every time I put in a stud, it's going to be straight through and line up with the next one, which is very, very handy. So that is the first part. And what you'd simply do is, I thought you don't really need to see me do this, I just pulled the base plate down this way to the bottom and just slung in at every mark the vertical, and now it is simply a matter of running around making sure that each stud at each bit of stud is through the centre of your lovely little mark that you've already done. So you want to make sure they kind of like, so if you need to put a bit of pressure on to make sure it lines up and keeps it level with itself, then that's fine. Two in each is plenty. Take your time because there's no rush with this, alright? You've already saved yourself a lot of time. So make sure it is perfectly centred. And then I'll do the same to the bottom, and that is it basically created. Now, I get this a lot. People say, can I use screws? No, you can't use screws. And the reason for that is that screws, say you've got a screw half sticking out, you've got a pair of pliers, it doesn't take much to just bend it one way and then snap. Nails, they have more lateral movement. It takes a lot more work to kind of get them to the point where they then fracture and snap. So basically, they've got a lot more lateral strength, which basically means as the builder wants to move in bits and pieces very, very slightly, then it will do that no problem at all. Whereas screws, they kind of shear quite quick. You don't need to hire one of these. Well, you can do it, it'll make your life quicker. These will make it a lot quicker. But if you haven't got one, and you're on a budget, then just get yourself some 90mm nails, which is what's in here, and just hammer them in. Done. Piece of cake. It'll take you a bit longer, but what's the rush? You get the same effect, the same job. So what I'm going to do is get this one fired up, and then, yeah, get it sort of lifted into place. And actually, before I fire those ones into place, I nearly forgot to say what a California corner is, okay? So what this is, basically, at this end, so I'll do it at both ends, this one and a very far corner, is I'm going to fix this timber here, like so. Now what this does is, you need to remember it, if I just put this one up vertically now, when this wall coming this way comes off of it, it's going to come like here. There's nothing now to secure my plasterboard. You've got to imagine the plasterboard set on there, across there, there's nothing to fix to. So I can always chuck in a few bits and pieces, but it's just a bloody lot quicker to cut one piece and then sits here like that, so that when this wall comes on it, you can then see there's still enough of this exposed that I've got something to carry the plasterboard off of. So I'll do that at both ends on all four walls, and I know I'm absolutely 100% golden. I haven't got to worry about it. And because I'm working 400 centres, I know I'm always going to fall, bit of plasterboard, I'm always going to fall straight through the centre of one of my joists if I work the room correctly. Makes life a lot easier. It's just these 4 bits of planning. Take your time, you'll get there. There's no rush. So yeah, perfect. So I'll get this fired in, get the ones down at the bottom, and I'll get this bad boy up. Right, and now time to gut your wood right up. I'll leave the gags for you guys. So when I lift it, I want to make sure, for a start, that my California country is facing the right way, because I want it on the inside of the room, okay? So if I lifted it that way, then it's going to be the wrong bloody position. So what I've also done over here is I've got myself a spare plonker wood. I put 2 screws just started in it, okay? Screwdriver's ready to go. Now going straight over there. So all I'm going to do now is lift, like so. So far so good. And then just drag it into position like this. Here we go. Kind of get it roughly where you know you're going to want it. Level it up and back. Tiny bit more this way. Spot on. Right. So now I'll just lift it so it's level at the back. Now what I've done is I've made sure it's level at that side corner. So now make sure it's level at the back. Like that. Firing a couple of nails. Just at the very corner. So I can still pivot it and adjust it now as I need to. Hot dog. And what I'm going to do is now, let's put the goggles on. So once I'm securing it, I'm going to spike it, which basically means I'm going to angle 2 shots in either corner, going that way, 2 shots going that direction, and then one going that way and one going that way. If you fire them straight in, you can just, if you did that, you can just crowbar it straight out. If you've got nails that are going like that and like that, you can't get this bloody wall up it and go nowhere. So that's why we do that. So I'll just quickly run and do that. Do now is grab this and I'm just going to stick one of these screws in there, and then I'll grab my level, which is just over here. Stick it on there, and now you notice the level is going to fall this way because it's got this to lean on. This screw ready, and what I'll do is I'm going to level it, and then what I'll do is I'll just screw that straight into my base frame. So just make sure it's absolutely 100%. Right here is lovely. Keep it pinned in place. Double check it hasn't moved, and it hasn't. One part of wall up. So now what I'll do is I'll knock up the other part of this wall, and what I'll do is I'll do exactly the same, but what I'll take into account is that from this point to this point is the last 400, because obviously this is just where the wood runs short. So I'll make sure that when I build the next wall, my 400 will go from there and transfer onto this one. So this one will sit at a different one, but making sure that it gives me 400 to 400. So as my plasterboard runs, again, it just continues to fall on 400s. Simple, isn't it? Hello. So now, obviously, we have the back wall, and we now have this side wall as well. And now's a perfect opportunity to show you exactly what these California corners are all about. So there you go. Now you can see where this one is, sticking out from here. And I've got something to put my plasterboard on. Obviously, that one up right from there is the perfect one to start again. California corner on this one, ready for when this next one comes up, goes up vertical up there. Don't know, actually, to be fair, it's going to be a 5x2 going there, but it doesn't matter because there's still going to be plenty of hang for it to actually fix on. Perfect. So I've just done a little bit of a wicks run, picked up a small 4x2 for this wall hither. some 5x2, which will be the front, so the front supports going up. Some 6x2, which is going to be for the roof and my wooden lintel that's going to run across. But I still need to go out again and get some more gear. There's only so much you can get in a transit van at any one time. So the thing is, materials is still a bit of a pain in the arse at the second, so you get stuff where you can. So it's happy days. I mean, not to be too bad though, because actually Wickes' stuff is generally quite cool. Most of their wood is like straight and not too twisted, especially sort of the C24, C16 quality stuff. And actually, everything I'm picking up today is C24 graded. C16 is perfect. So the difference is, for those that don't know, C16 and C24 are regarded as structural timbers, which means you can build structures with it. But C16 is like the weaker version. C24 is the tougher version, basically. So if you're picking up and you want a bit more like strength in your building, C24 is the way to go, but C16 is absolutely 100% fine for all of this, okay? The only place you'll need to check for your walls will be fine is going to be the roof. So when you look at your span tables to figure out what size joists you're going to need depending on the width of the room, it may be you look at C16 span tables and C24. So C24, you'll need less height off of your building because it's stronger, whereas C16, it'll be a bigger bit of timber. So sometimes it's worth paying more to sort of give you that bit more height internally. But yeah, I hope that makes sense. If it doesn't, ping me a question. But anyway, I'm going to drink this cup of tea because the client just made one, which is very kind. And I'm shooting back off to Wickes in Farnborough now because Bracknell 1 didn't have what I needed. Some of it, but not all of it. So driving around day to day. And I'm back from Wickes in Farnborough. That was good fun. So I now have in my archery, in my inventory, I now have the 6x2 for the roofing joists. I have the 4x2 to finish off this wall this side. And I now have the 5x2, which is going to make the front wall. And like I say, I've got extra 6x2, which will make the, what do you call it, wooden lintel across the top, plus the coach bolts to hold it all together. So I'll show you how to do that tomorrow. So tomorrow should be a good one, so tune in because it's going to be finishing off obviously this side, building the front wall as well. And if there's time, maybe get some roof bits and pieces on as well. You just don't know how these things are going to go, weather dependent and all that kind of jazz. But anyway, whatever is going on, don't forget to like, subscribe, hit the bell icon. Any questions, ping them over. I know I've been lax this last week, but obviously I was on holiday, so tonight I'll try and catch up and answer all your questions. So if you've got any other new questions, ping them over and I shall answer them as best. In any case, I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.